Hey everyone, Lazarus here. Today I wanted to do a video explaining the skills and leveling system in Escape from Tarkov. You can click on the skills tab at the top of the menu to see all of the skills and the progress you've made while leveling in Escape from Tarkov. The skills are broken down into 5 different categories. You can sort these categories with the drop down menu here to the right. These 5 categories are combat, special, practical, mental, and physical. If you hover over the large icon of any of the skills, it'll give you a general breakdown of what that skill does for your character. If you hover over any of the smaller icons, it'll tell you specific increases that skill gives you. All of the skills range from level 1 to 51, giving you an elite perk at level 51. However, through use of stims or other consumable items, you can also boost your skills to a max level of 60. To level different skills in Escape from Tarkov requires you to do different things. Leveling endurance simply requires you to run, while leveling strength requires you to run while overweight. However, there is a slight catch. The more that you do this in one raid, the less experience that you will gain over time. You actually suffer from something called diminishing returns. Diminishing returns simply means the more you do an action, the less experience you gain for doing that action. In Escape from Tarkov, you can check if you're affected by diminishing returns by going to the Skills tab while in raid. You'll notice that there's a small blue arrow in the Skills progress bar. This shows you that you're not heavily affected by diminishing returns. When you are suffering from diminishing returns, this arrow will turn to red. You can also hover over one of the large icons while in raid to see the specific percentage increase that you're getting applied to your XP gains. All skills start with 129% XP increase when you load into raid. The first time that you do any action that gives you experience for a particular skill, you will have that multiplier applied to your experience gain, and then your returns will be diminished throughout the raid. Diminishing returns will reset after you've spent a certain amount of time in raid. However, it's not the same for all skills. Certain skills get a soft reset after 8 minutes in raid, while other skills get a reset after 15 minutes in raid. No skills reset to their original value of 129%. In my testing, I've only been able to get skills to reset to a diminishing returns of 60% experience gains, meaning that it's not worth it to stay in raid once you've reached diminishing returns if your goal is to focus on leveling skills. Now that you know a little bit about diminishing returns, I'd like to cover one of the things in the hideout that's really going to benefit our leveling. If you're not familiar with the air filtering unit, what it does is give your physical skills a skill leveling boost. When you have no filter in it, it doesn't do anything. However, if you insert one of the FP100 filters, it gives you a baseline physical skill leveling boost of plus 40%. However, this is also modified by your character's skill, hideout management. My hideout management is currently at level 33. You level this skill just by crafting different things in your hideout. So we can hover over the small icon and see that this is increasing all percentage bonuses from zones by 33% of their values. So if we go back to our air filtering unit, now that it's refreshed, we'll see that we're actually getting a physical skill leveling boost of 53.2%. So not only will the air filter make it so that you gain an experience boost to your physical skills while leveling, it'll also make it so that there's a higher maximum before reaching diminishing returns. This is one of the reasons that I highly recommend before you start focusing on actually power leveling any of the specific skills, make sure that you have the air filtering unit in your hideout and that you have a filter actively going. There's one final thing you need to know about leveling skills in Escape from Tarkov. Because of the way that diminishing returns works, the first time that you actually do an action in the game, you get that maximum 129% experience multiplier applied. The first time that you do an action, you want to make sure that you do that action as long and as continuous as possible. If leveling endurance, for example, you level endurance simply by sprinting. So you want to make sure that the first time you start sprinting in raid, you go uninterrupted as long as possible. No jumping, no stopping running, no walking, nothing at all. Just holding W and running your entire stamina bar out for as long as possible. We can also use some of the stims in game to our advantage to make sure that the first time that we do start running, we go even further. The most notable one that I would recommend is the SJ6 stim. This gives you max stamina plus 30 as well as stamina recovery plus 2. There are some other stims that you can use for stamina and stamina regen as well, but it would definitely get very pricey if you're using a cocktail of stims. If you want to use one, I would just recommend the SJ6. However, if you'd like, you can also take a look at these other 4 stims as they do have effects that give you stamina and stamina regen. The 3BTG will give you stamina recovery plus 1. The L1 norepinephrine stim will give you endurance plus 10 and max stamina plus 30. However, the stim only lasts for 2 minutes. Meldonin will give you +2 endurance, as well as 0.5 stamina recovery. And this last cocktail will give you endurance +10, as well as stamina recovery +0.5. However, I really don't recommend this one with all of the possible downsides that you get from taking this stim. If you want to use any stims with power level skills such as strength or endurance, I would recommend just using the SJ6. If you're interested in leveling strength, I want to go over some of my favorite ways I've found to efficiently level strength while in game. You level strength by sprinting while overweight. As long as your weight shows yellow, you'll be gaining strength experience when sprinting. More weight doesn't contribute to more experience gains. It's simply a measure of distance traveled while being overweight. My favorite way was using a docs case full of SAS drives. I did this while doing killa farming. You can do it while just naturally playing the game, but what you do is go on the flea market, buy a bunch of SAS drives, fill a docs case with them, and that'll add about 14 kilos to your weight, or 13.5 kilos or so. So you can throw that inside your secure container, and if you have a normal full loadout, it'll just make you instantly overweight. However, I wouldn't recommend doing this because that's going to significantly put you at a disadvantage. It's also not going to let you level endurance in raid. I did it while doing something else. Like I said, I focused on just killa farming, and I was doing killa raids, and I put this in my secure container. I didn't start the raid overweight, so I would level endurance at the beginning of the raid, and then as soon as I killed Killa and looted his whole kit, it would make me overweight, and then I would run out of the raid, draining my entire stamina bar and getting max strength gains and getting diminishing returns. If you aren't interested in the docs case full of SAS drives, there are some other methods you can use to get overweight. If you have empty metal fuel cans, you can throw those inside of your backpack and that'll quickly make you overweight. Start the raid out, run your full stamina bar out so that you get the max strength gains, and then simply drop the fuel containers so that you're no longer overweight. Another method that you can use to get overweight while normally playing the game is by buying these low-level Kolpak helmets. They're incredibly cheap on the flea market, usually going for less than 7,000 rubles. As you can see, Fence has a ton of them. You can buy these up and fill your backpack with them until you're overweight with your normal loadout. Insure all of them. They insure incredibly cheap, usually about 1,000 rubles or just over 1,000 rubles each. And then go into raid, start the raid overweight. You run your entire stamina bar out as we've done every other time so that you can get the max strength gains. And then drop the Kolpaks. You'll no longer be overweight and be able to level endurance, as well as be able to play the raid out in a normal fashion without the debuffs from being overweight. The next day, when you get your insurance returns, you should have a large amount of Kolpaks in your insurance, and you can simply repeat your strength training by reinsuring those and going into raid again. If you're not interested in strength training while playing normally, you can actually just focus on leveling strength by putting a tank battery inside your secure container. As far as I know, this only works with a secure container as big as the Epsilon or larger, so you do need at least the Epsilon to be able to do this. Another way that I found to cheaply get overweight is by using the 7mm buckshot. You can buy this incredibly cheaply from Jaeger and from Prapor, 33 rubles or 32 rubles a round. And depending on what level your strength is will depend on how many rounds you actually need to get overweight, as well as depending on how heavy of a loadout you are using. But this is the cheapest way that I found to actually get overweight if you're not interested in using any of these other methods. So just as a quick recap on leveling strength and endurance, you level endurance simply by sprinting while in game, and you level strength by sprinting while overweight. To get the maximum benefit when leveling these skills, the first time that you start sprinting, whether it be overweight or not, you want to make sure that you hold W and sprint uninterrupted for as long as possible. Alright, that pretty much sums up how you level strength and endurance in Escape from Tarkov. I hope that you found this video informative and it helped you learn something. If it did, please like the video down below and please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. Thanks again for watching.